All right, everyone, we got to talk about the Trump Tulsa rally. Of course, the first mainline event, actually, of the political season since coronavirus began. And some people are, like, all freaked out because they're like, well, Trump didn't manage to pack the stadium. He only got 6,200 people to show up. It's estimated. It could be a little bit more or less. 6,000, 6,500, somewhere in there. Let me elucidate the reasons why that would happen. The first is, legitimately, and the left is crowing about this and congratulating themselves for some reason, fake ticket registrations. But the thing is, that doesn't really affect the actual attendance size, or only just barely. When the police set up several different roadblocks and security checkpoints and considerably slow down the process of entry into a venue, you've got high security because the president's there, and you also have a coronavirus pandemic. That separately feeds in as well. It slows down the rate of people able to enter. If you're expecting that capacity attendance, and you've got all of these people being rejected because they failed a temperature check, you're going to get a slowdown of people actually entering the venue. And once Trump shows up, nobody's entering, of course, at all because of security standards. In such a case, it was never likely he was going to pack the stadium anyway, no matter how many people showed up, because it's such a slower process. Now, this is the first time that we've had a political rally of any size in which you have this sort of pandemic protocol in place. It needs refinement, obviously. And by the way, that is a blot on Trump. I'm sure he would have liked it to have had thousands more people there. It does take some of the wind out of his sails, but it's not by and large because of K-pop fans on TikTok. The other reason is because a lot of people who wanted to show up probably didn't show up because they stayed home due to fear of either pandemic or left-wing violence. Right now you have active riots going on in the United States. You have open threats against Trump fans, number one, and you have a pandemic. Now, would the pandemic stop me from going to a political rally? No. But let's say I work in a nursing home. Yeah, I probably don't want to show up at the rally. I'll lose my job maybe if I do anyway. If I have a comorbidity, if I'm over 60, I probably weigh that and say, well, maybe I want to be around for my grandkid's next birthday. Maybe I'll sit this one out. And that's, by the way, a choice that people have to make. I would point out to you something. Here's why the left loses here. Trump managed to get 6,200 people to show up in Tulsa during a pandemic with this new protocol in place, slowing everything down that hasn't really been implemented before and therefore needs a little bit of A/B testing. Would Joe Biden have been able to get 5,000 people into the Tulsa rally? No. In order for Biden to have a rally that eclipses 3,000 or 4,000 people, they have to bus people in at expense. They have to bus in a bunch of volunteer and lower-level DNC staff to pack the seats to make it look like he has fans. The enthusiasm gap between Trump and Biden is considerably larger than the enthusiasm gap that existed between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Supposedly, therefore, Trump has massively weakened, despite the fact that on that metric he's doing better, on that one. Number two, there is virtually no in-party enthusiasm for Joe Biden. Only a slim majority of the party even approves of him being the nominee. He hasn't even, by the way, held an actual rally yet during the general. He hasn't, and probably won't. His idea of a rally is a few hundred people show up for a town hall with significant social distancing. So he's trying to grandstand on that. Really, it's about the fact that if Biden were to try to hold this kind of rally, it wouldn't be anywhere near this capacity. He would struggle to get 2,000 or 3,000 people in most locations into the stadium. He'd have to go to a really far blue area in order to actually get it to the 10K mark. Trump routinely was pulling, again, and here's another reason why this shouldn't really worry Trump fans, that he had these problems at the rally. And you'll probably see them at the next couple, again, because of the slowdown in entry because of the coronavirus stuff, but after that it'll take care of it. A few months ago, before the pandemic, he was still regularly getting 50, 20, 25,000 people into stadiums. His approval is at about the same level. His enthusiasm is at about the same level. Everything else is at about the same level. Therefore, we have to look for variables that would explain the lower attendance. The only ones that I can think of that actually make sense, because again, fake ticket registries have nothing to do with the number of people that actually show up to take a seat. It doesn't affect it in any meaningful way. What actually caused the lower turnout? Coronavirus, number one, and fear of leftist violence, number two. The latter will begin to dissipate. There was no significant leftist violence at the Tulsa rally. There were a few people that were arrested, and certainly that slows things down as well, again, during the pandemic. But I think most of it's fear of coronavirus. And that fear is swiftly going away as people recognize that there's no real significant second wave of the disease. Hospitals weren't overwhelmed. For the average person in the population, they're not really at that much risk. Those things will play a role, I think. And also, you've got to understand, we're going to have debates at some point. If ever there's an opportunity for Trump to get people whipped into a frenzy, it's there. It's with the cheap one sentence talking point sort of style of modern political debate. That's, I think, where he ends up shining more. Until then, it might be a little bit dicey, but this is a loss for the left. All of these people are sitting there. Think about the optics of like what AOC is saying. Oh, well, ha ha ha, glory to these TikTok Zoomers disrupting this rally. So again, the fact that your candidate isn't holding rallies, couldn't get this kind of attendance if he did, and sucks and has no platform, forces you to instead attempt to silence Donald Trump. You still failed, and he still managed to get 6,200 people to show up in the middle of a pandemic to hear him speak. That's not unimpressive. It is quite the opposite. Again, your candidate will not be able to get this kind of attendance probably at a rally unless he goes to a very large, far blue city or you bus people in. Trump doesn't have that problem. By the way, are all of these people who made the fake ticket registries even from the United States? Maybe something should be done, I would think, by the GOP, by the Trump campaign, to use geolocation in some manner to make sure that the people signing up are actually at least within the U.S. Now, there are plenty of far-left provocateurs that would do that within the United States as well, but I would think that the K-pop thing is getting a little bit weird because I've also seen astroturfed right-wing campaigns using K-pop trending. Something is fishy with K-pop, and maybe it's Satan or something like that. Something's going on politically as far as those tags go on TikTok and Twitter especially, because it's not just the leftists that seem to use it. I don't know. I mean, part of me believes that maybe people that don't like K-pop are just trying to get it deranked on these sites so they don't have to see K-pop shit. I don't know. Somebody else can explain that to me. Of course, I've never used TikTok. It's also very, very funny to see AOC praising the Chinese-run video app there, TikTok, as the platform for disrupting evil Drumfler. It's very funny to see that happen. And you see that from many other people. And then when Parscale points out, well, part of the reason why the rally failed to hit attendance is because thousands of people couldn't get in because of leftists interfering and because of these protocol. Oh, well, no, you're just coping. Well, no, that's the real reason. The real reason is fear of coronavirus, strangulation by new testing protocol and so forth, giving everyone 2 fucking temperature checks just to get in the rally. How many people were turned away? How many people were told improperly and aren't infected with coronavirus at all? No, you're not allowed to hear the president speak. That was probably in the thousands. Nice hot day. People are standing in line. They get a little sweaty. Maybe they're, 0.1 degrees above 98.6 and they're not let into the rally, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. That's about all. Peace out.